Now, one of the most popular types of module in modular synthesis would have to be the sequencers. Now you might think, why, if you've got a DAW, why would you need to use a hardware sequencer? Well, it's fairly obvious. It pushes you into new ways of coming up with different melodies that you wouldn't normally get if you are using a keyboard. And of course, not everybody can play a keyboard, so sequencers, step sequencers, pattern sequencers are superb ways of coming up with innovative melodic experiments. Now, the two sequencers that I'm going to demonstrate for you here, first of all, we've got the Kilpatrick audio pattern generator. Now, this is one of the most eye-catching modules in a Eurorack format. You can see here it has an 8x8 LED grid, rather like battleships. You'll see here running along the top is the sequence. Now, if I patch the CV output here, this can either be set to CV or X output. Here you've got the gate output or the Y output. I've got these in CV and gate mode, which is this toggle up here. So without a gate going to trigger any kind of envelope, we're just going to hear the CV into the volts per octave of an oscillator, and you'll hear the different pitches. Now, the Kilpatrick audio can either be controlled by an internal clock or an external clock, which is coming from the MIDI converter that we covered in an earlier chapter. So it's receiving the MIDI clock from Ableton Live, actually. As you can hear, it's going quite fast, but this can be divided down into something more musically useful, or it can run on its own internal clock. And again, this knob controls the clock speed from incredibly fast to painfully slow. Now you'll see here, at the moment it's just covering stages 1 to 8, and that is controlled by the motion length control here. We can shorten that. There's just 4 stages, or you can cover the whole 64 grid. Now, the pitch can be offset. We can lower the tones. We can also have the range of notes that it covers, small or large, or major or minor. At the moment we're in a minor scale, and we can go forwards or backwards. The great thing about the direction is that it's CV-able, so you can send a trigger and it will reverse the direction depending on that. So you can set up all kinds of logic gates and triggers to vary the signal backwards and forwards. It also has a reset input, so when you're using your MIDI clock, once you stop and start your DAW, it will automatically return back to the first stage. And these are the important controls here: pattern type and motion type. Now, pattern type just cycles through various active patterns. Each red LED is an active stage, but once you start changing the patterns, you'll see there's a heart-shaped one. You can start seeing some empty stages, and these are obviously rests. And one of the great things about this pattern generator is that there's just a software editor, so you can generate your own patterns and scales and update the flash memory just by sending a short MIDI file. So that's very handy. But there are plenty of different combinations possible, because not only do you change the pattern type, but once you start changing the motion type here, you've got 64 different positions, the 8x8, and they represent different motion types. Here you'll see a rather random one there. Speed it up a bit. Another good thing about the integration between the pattern generator and the MIDI converter is that internally this can send out the CV and gate information to the MIDI output back into your DAW. So you could sync this to your DAW with your MIDI clock, and you can also record the different melodic ideas that you generate into your DAW for repeatable playback. So the two of these really go well together. One final control here, which I haven't yet mentioned. We haven't really gone into the gate output, but obviously this can output gates, so you send that into an envelope generator, and this just affects the gate time. You can go from a very short trigger to quite a lengthy gate. So that's the Kilpatrick Audio K4815 pattern generator. Now our next example of a modular sequencer is from Chaos, XAOC. This is called the Mosqua 1965 bipolar roto sequencer. As you can see, it rotates in a circular fashion. You have 8 steps, and unlike the Kilpatrick Audio pattern generator, which has outputs that are quantized to specific notes in a major or a minor scale, the Mosqua's outputs are unquantized. So this is particularly useful for not only pitch generation in conjunction with an external quantizer, but also as a CV sequencer. You can modulate, say, the frequency cutoff of a filter, rather than just using it for melodic pattern generation. Now, this is fairly straightforward. We have a polarity switch here. The controls can either output a unipolar positive CV or bipolar CV. There's a play mode toggle switch here, which changes the way the stages follow each other. You have standard, which is obviously going clockwise there. Then you have a random play mode, which is self-explanatory, and then you have a pendulum mode, which will swing clockwise and then anti-clockwise, resetting depending on where you have got the reset knob. Here is the reset knob. At the moment I've got it set to the full 8 stages, so it's cycling through the entire 8 and then returning. Let's put it back into standard clockwise motion, and here is the rate control. Now if I do the same as we did with the Kilpatrick pattern generator, just for simplicity, we're just going to use the CV out into the volts per octave of a sine wave oscillator. Now remember, these aren't quantized outputs, so the notes will probably be not in a any kind of chromatic scale. And there you go. One more knob to explain. This is the slew here, and slew, otherwise known if you're using a keyboard as portamento or maybe glide, also known as lag. This will add a slight delay and smooth out the changes from each stage to the next. again, very useful if you're using this sequencer for CV modulation, because the changes between steps can be quite abrupt. You can really smooth those out using the slew control. Now you have 8 push button switches here which activate and deactivate the gate outputs for each stage, so you can mute some of the stages, and you have inputs to change the direction just like you had on the Kilpatrick pattern generator. Also you have the important reset input, and there's also a handy pause input, so again you can set up some logic modules to send a pulse every now and again to pause the module mid-sequence, and then have another trigger set it off again. Here's your clock input, so once again you could use your MIDI to CV and gate converter to send a MIDI clock input, so you can have this syncing to your DAW, and finally you have the gate output and the CV output. I believe the gate length can be changed by holding down each button stage for a various amount of time, but we're just going to keep it simple in these explanations, and here you can see just changing the knobs results in different pitch changes, unquantized as I mentioned before. Let's change the rate. You could even get into almost near audio rates there, and you can switch the polarity so that it instead of a bipolar signal, you can have it just positive, so this will raise the pitches up. So there we have an example, just 2 of the fantastic sequencers that are available in a Eurorack format.